Hello everyone, and welcome back to some more Internet Spaceships. It's been a while since CitizenCon, hasn't it? I never did the Day 2 video, so I apologise for that. We'll talk about a little bit more about it later on, I think, because I do have some thoughts on the Day 2 stuff compared to the Day 1 stuff. However, I wanted to have a quick jaunt into the PTU for those who may be watching and have maybe not seen anything to do with IAE before. So as you can see, we're at the Tobin Expo Centre station stop at New Babbage. And we have all these lovely placards now for the IAE. So the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, if you've never seen it, is a big convention that CIG does around their November anniversary. So they have an anniversary event every November, and it has lots of ship sales where they sell lots of spaceships. Essentially, if there is a specific spaceship you're wanting to buy, this is the time of year to do it, because every single day they rotate the vendors in and out. In fact, we can see a little layout of the Tobin Expo Centre here. So the lobby, lower level and so on. And yes, they rotate the vendors in one per day, and then as the vendors are inside the hall, you can wander inside the hall in person, in game, and you can rent any of the ships, so to speak, any of the ships for 24 hours. Normally there's some you can't, depending on what it is. We'll have to talk about that later. But yeah, for the most part you can rent ships for 24 hours, and then of course you can buy them on the store on the website as well if you want to. So this doesn't match the same for limited run ships, so things like the 890 Jump, Constellation Phoenix is another one, things like the capital ships like the Idrises and the Javelins, so the Idris I and the Javelins. So yeah, there's rules for the special, I say special in air quotes, ships. But yeah, it's a good fun event to go and have a look at. And I thought I'd just come and have a look at the hall, not as much the hall, but the lobby this time. So I sort of was going to do it without video, and then I noticed this bit because Pyro is coming up in 4.0. I thought it'd be cool to highlight this. They did the same sort of thing for the Invictus event, where Pyro people, so these citizens for prosperity, they had a stand as well, and it's about looking after Pyros. You see, Pyro is our problem, so it's like a group of law enforcement basically trying to help in Pyro. So you can see stop the invasion, citizens for prosperity. There's like things saying volunteers needed all over the floor, and then you got these smashed screens. So someone's tried to spray paint over it, and then if you come around the other side, they have another booth here, and they have someone who's spray painted all over the wall. So they did something similar at the Invictus event. You can see it's been sprayed on the floor here as well. You can see, don't do something. Don't be alien, I think that is. So it's like Xenothreat coming in and poking the bear, so to speak, which I think is what the Save Stanton event is going to be like. People will probably put in the comments about Save Stanton event. I have not done anything, and the reason the server is running like garbage right now, you can see I've got like 20 FPS, is because the mission is currently available on the PTU, which is what I am. So the first 3 phases. I've not done any of it. I don't want to spoil myself on it. I want to do it when it goes on live and enjoy it with my org people. So I haven't really jumped into it. So here's the lobby. It's very purple. I do love my purple. And we've got more placards telling you where to go. A bit bare compared to the Invictus event, which was the military event. But that's because it's not military. It's just about showcasing ships. So the next frontier, we've got some Sabre Firebirds in various paints. So the not Sabre Ravens. I adore my Sabre Raven, and I'm sort of still a bit not happy that they've tried to sort of just sell the frame off again and again and again as Sabre variants. But hey ho, CIG gonna CIG. Next frontier, so people in spaceships. That is a Redeemer, isn't it, that they're all stood next to? So we've got like a Redeemer crew in suits. And then you've got the usual, you can go in these, and these guys are all wearing, or you can buy all the t-shirts and stuff, like, and caps as well of the various ship vendors. There's a Polaris on the RSI one. Back here, if I remember the thing from the subreddit, there is a load of bare hangars, which makes me think they're going to have, I don't know if they're going to have armour, which is what they normally do, but they normally have armour inside the show floor on like the lower sub-level that they then put on the website, and they make very cool sets of armour every IAE. Historically we've had the Red Alert set, and previously we had before that we had the Artimex suits, so the white Artimex suit, the woodland one, and then the Lawstone, is it? Lowstone, I can't quite remember. And yeah, and then we had the Red Alert, and then we had the very shiny Novikov suit, a very shiny Venture armor. Again, I cannot remember the name of it. There is terminals here. I'll have to go and have a look. I'm going to go over it because I do like to be thorough with this sort of thing. And I do have quite a few of the sets. So if my monitor stops blitzing out for a second. There we go. So if we go on armor, you can see we've got these red alert sets here. So RL Arms red alert set, that's from the old one. I think it'd be better if we just do core, won't it? So yeah, we've got red alert sets. So we have the Artemex red alert set here, and then the Ariel set, and then previously we had the Artemex sets, so the Canuto, Wildwood, and Lodestone. That's what it is. Yeah, and then after that we had the Ascension sets. That's right. So the very shiny Venture sets. So they've done some very cool sets over the years during the IAE event, and I'm looking forward to seeing what one we get this year because I do like collecting my little armor sets. As you can see, there's people trying to get into the halls. The halls don't have anything in them. There's no halls to access at the minute. So there's nothing in here. It's just a very, very, very slow. He's going to come back out disappointed now. Yep. It's just a very, very slow burn on the server because they're trying to test this save the standard event. They may run a day where the halls will be accessible, but I don't think there'll be much in them. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to IAE. I'm going to switch over to the live servers now, I think, and talk about CitizenCon some. Because this server is running like garbage and my Hull C is working again. So I managed to get my Hull C back, and it works, but there's still a fair bit of jank involved. But that does mean I can do some space trucking and I can make a decent amount of money. So I may turn this into a little guide to go and make some money whilst I do some space trucking and talk about some CitizenCon. Here we go then, we're back on live, and I've decided to take the aforementioned Ascension armor out for a bit. Always risky because it's one of the unique sets, but I'm not doing any combat, so I shouldn't lose it willingly. And I don't recall the last time I've genuinely been pirated, so I'm not all that worried. And I know the servers are a bit quieter today. So, CitizenCon. There was a lot going on at CitizenCon. I did the day one video, and it was Impressive Squadron 42. Disappointed that it was going to come out in 2026. Day 2 had a bit more of a emphasis on Star Citizen as a whole. So the first thing we got was crafting. So there was lots and lots and lots of stuff on crafting, all to do with the quality of the materials that you're going to need to use. So you're going to have to mine like rarer things. The lawless systems that we're going to get are going to have better materials. There's a bit more emphasis on things like the sandworm, so farming something that's a bit riskier and a bit harder to do. So there's a lot more on that. Crafting was very, very cool to look at. Looking forward to that. Not sure if that's going to be my moneymaker. I like my space trucking and exploration stuff. We shall soon see. But yeah, it's I'm very much looking forward to crafting. The second big thing that came on day 2 was all about base building. So we had the visions of the space station, so base building as a whole, showing off different things that we can build using the bases, the different vehicles and things we're going to have to use, and the just the whole utility side of it, how we can extend things. Bloody hell, that's loud. How we can extend things and make new structures. Some of the design elements in them, how things are going to be involved, like rigging up power. Oh, even running a cockpit, that's very loud. So yeah, base building was very, very cool. They started it very, very wholesome, like with showing off the small bases and things that we can build as solo players potentially. And then expanding into things like so that we can basically have our own distribution centres, and it's going to be absolutely massive and take up so much space. And yeah, hangars. Very much for the org stuff. There was a lot of focus on organisation stuff this time, which is very, very, very good. Then they expanded into the stuff that is obviously going to be very, very far off. So like player-owned space stations. And they began showing off something that was like a nice end game goal. So they began showing off the the tier 0 space station, so just the main space station. Then they showed off like elements that could go onto the spokes of it, so you could have again hangars and refineries. You could have like your own cargo deck. You could make a shipyard, so you can essentially make like a dry dock and start making ships. And like I said, that started out very wholesome. And it's like, oh, this is going to be a really, really cool endgame. It's all concept stuff right now, even though they were showing it off in a very cool way. But it's all still very concept. You know, it's quite far off. And then it just sort of descended into madness when they started showing off like many, many linked space station hubs in this giant array of space stations that were in orbit, so that they'd be bigger than, like, say, like Port Tresla, like what we're looking at now. It would just be colossal. Yeah, and then they showed off like the dry dock, and they were like, oh, what can you build the dry dock? Ooh, and they displayed off a Bengal carrier being built in a dry dock. And whilst that it was very cool, and it's like, again, all concept stuff, I think that was more to just drum up hype rather than, you know, this is achievable in the near future, which was disappointing. It showed off, like I said, it was very cool, but it's just like it's something that you see and you know it's so far off that it's essentially negligible. And that was basically what I didn't like that in the convention. It was cool that they showed off what they wanted to do, and then they just went apeshit with it, and it was like it was all big marketing flair, and I didn't really like that. But again, I know they need to make money, and yeah, it's just frustrating. So the final thing, the panel ended with what they want to do as Star Citizen 1.0. So this was like the main meat of the thing, and they basically laid out the groundwork of what we're getting, and it's now on the website as a roadmap. So we're getting, you know, essentially an MMO, which is what Star Citizen is going to be. They have highlighted that, you know, we're going to have the crafting, and there's going to be grinding. There's going to be a main story quest, just like in an MMO, so very Final Fantasy 14. So it's going to have an MSQ, and that will let you get your citizenship, which will let you set up homes in essentially secure space. So not nullsec, if we're going to use EVE terms, so to speak, which was going to be, I think it was, you were meant to get to that at the end of Squadron 42. That's no longer the case. It's going to be the main story element of Star Citizen itself, not Squadron 42. And they showed off how they are going to release with 5 systems now. So not 100. They still want to do 100, obviously, but 5 systems is the main thing. So we have Stanton, obviously, because that's where we're flying around right now. We have Pyro, which is coming at the end of the year, hopefully. We have Nyx, which is the next system. So that's going to be with Levski, so the asteroid with the big borehole going through the middle. Can't wait to see that. The next system they're going to be working on after that is Castra, which is the place that has a military training ground. So they have the planet called Cascom, I think. And that has I can't remember the name of it now, and it's really going to annoy me, but they have the new landing zone there, the one that's like built into the side of a mountain and is not floating, but very ethereal looking, because it's quite high up in the clouds. And then the final system is going to be Terra, which is going to be very interesting, because I unfortunately foresee a lot of that planet being a bit like ArcCorp, where there's lots and lots of buildings that we can't go or do anything in. Sort of like Microtech, you know, you can go to Microtech and you can go to New Babbage, but there's only a certain few buildings that you can go inside. So at least I imagine how that's going to be, how it starts until they flesh it out a bit. There's going to be 3 lawful systems and 3 lawless systems. So it's going to, you know, there's going to be a little bit of a sway in regards of piracy, but they're, you know, they're given the variation. They also shook up the whole LTI system, which has been a gigantic fustercluck. I think it's been laid out, and they had to go back and they had to clarify it, and then they had to clarify it again and again, and there's still so many unknowns. I know that basically every ship I have, including the Hull C that I'm flying here, I have LTI on, right? Because they're from referrals that I've upgraded, or I know I've won a couple of ships that were LTI and I've upgraded those, or it's just ones that I have done myself. So it's not something that worries me, because I know I will always have those hulls. There's a lot of discussion around insurance and warranties, and more specifically upgraded components. So the levels of warranty that you can have, rather than just getting a payout like you would in Eve, they will give you it will recover all of your components in your ship and your guns. So currently it will be the same way as it works now. If you have upgraded components, so for instance on this hull I have this paint scheme, so this isn't the default paint scheme, and I have a different quantum drive inside it. If I blow this ship up or whatever, I lose it in a crash, if I reclaim it, I get this paint back and I get this quantum drive back that I am using right now. That's how the level 3 warranty, I think, is going to work. Level 2 or level 3, I honestly can't remember, because it's still so convoluted. And a lot of people aren't happy with that, because it means that once you buy those upgraded components, if you lose your ship and you just claim it with the upgraded components, no one's ever going to want to buy more components again, unless they introduce some kind of power creep on components and weapons. So it's a big topic that still needs to be covered quite a lot, I think, but it's not something that is, I want to say, like, should be affecting us in the very, very near future, because Star Citizen 1.0 is still so far away as to be negligible again. I think it's years and years away. You know, we've still got many systems to work on, Star systems I mean, and in-game systems as well, so it's there's a lot to go through, and there's still so much discussion going on about the insurance. I think it's just negligible. The 1.0 stuff was cool in the terms of base building and I suppose it's in the lawless systems, isn't it, where they have this shield system where you're going to have to fight over being able to do or have your place covered by shield. So if you settle down in secure space, you will always have a planetary shield protecting what you have. If you decide to settle down in nullsec, or pirate space if you like, you have to contest and go and try and gather these tokens that you can feed into a system that will basically project a shield over your base for the week. Again, this is all concept stuff, but that sounds fantastic. I know that's the sort of thing that my org that I'm in, Synchronous, they're going to love doing if they decide to set up a base in nullsec as well as in secure space. So there's so much to go on over that, but the main thing, like, takeaway that I took from it this year is the same as it was in day one, apart from the squadron stuff, is that it is all of it is concept. And that bothered me. I was looking for something, just as I said in my old day one video, I was just looking for something that was tangible, and I didn't really get that this year. We got the squadron video, but then they were like, yeah, 2026, and it was a bit of a disappointment. So not soul crushing, but just disappointing, because I think people were a lot of expecting it, me included, to be sort of next year, and we didn't get it next year. So my free look still isn't on. So yeah, it's just a bit disappointing. But the concept stuff was very good, and it's nice that they finally set those goals, and it's on the roadmap now. If they try not to do sneaky things where they'll introduce a feature and they'll give us a tier 0 implementation of it, and then they'll say it's done and it's in the game now, even though it's the most broken, rudimentary version of that feature. So there's a lot to go on. There's a lot of concept stuff, there's a lot of talk and lots of cool things to look at, but there's nothing very cool to play, which I think is what disappoints me. They're trying so hard at the moment, so hard to get 4.0 a bit more stable. We've had so many Evocati, I think they're on like 7 or 8 nights now of Evocati testing of 4.0. They've stripped so many features out. I think it's like 25 features out of 4.0 that would have essentially made Pyro a lot more fun to play in. So they've removed like the solar flares, which is a really engaging, fun part of Pyro. They've removed environmental hazards. They've removed the fire stuff. They've removed engineering. And now they're just hammering on getting the server meshing working, which is fine. I'm absolutely fine with that. I would rather have the server meshing and more people playing in my server to make it a lot more interesting to start with. And then everything else can come in just an X patch, or can be introduced again. You know, once we get the server count a bit higher, and they get the jump point working, which I think is then next main bugbear, isn't it? That's what they really want to do. They just want to get the jump point working so we can go to Pyro, and they want the server meshing stable so that we can have more people on our server and having fun. So I'm just a little bit disappointed by CitizenCon this year. I'd have loved to have been there, and I'm sure if I was there this year I would have been a bit more hyped and I would have enjoyed it a lot more like I did in 2019, but life circumstances unfortunately prevented me from going this year. I don't think I'll be going to the American one because I doubt I'll be going to the States, so I'll just have to wait until it comes around in 2026 to see what I can do. But yeah, there's an awful lot to look at, and it's just I just feel a bit deflated after this CitizenCon. It's not like I'm hating on it. It's still cool to see what they're doing, but I think I just expected something a bit more tangible rather than just concept stuff. So yeah, that's the CitizenCon thought process. What am I doing now? Right now, I'm taking the Hull C and I'm doing some Hull C trading. So you can see we are at the Terra jump point. So if I zoom out, if you have a Hull C, I will leave this as the end of the video to go and do a little guide. So you can see we're at the Terra gateway. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to go and make some money. And this has been pretty profitable for me, to be honest, using my Hull C. Like I said, it's full of jank still, but it does work. I haven't actually tried it since they did the minor patch update a couple of nights ago. So they did the A patch, which just had loads of fixes in it. I'm assuming it will still work because I've got to say performance has been a little bit better and the servers have been a bit more stable rather than crashing and locking up constantly and lots of server errors. But we'll see if it still works. So you come to Terra and then you make your way to the admin office. And once you get to the admin office, we look on the terminal, and there is still an annoying bug. I'm assuming it's going to still be the same. If you select your Hull C, you get nothing. So you can see I've got the Hull C. The Hull C isn't docked. I imagine if I docked it, it might be better, but I never dock it because the docks don't seem to be working properly. When you try and go to dock using the docking arms, the angle is all off. It sounds funny, but normally you have to line up with the dock, and you get the green pips that make line up. They're all over the place and they don't work. So instead, you see my name twice. If you select the second one, this shows you the cargo capacity, and it says here attention vehicles are brought to a cargo deck, and it's showing the Hull C in the background as if I'd selected the Hull C. And I will go to hydrogen, select units, and I can spend 507,000 of my 4.18 million on hydrogen. So 500k on hydrogen. That's what we're going to do, and you can see even though I selected my name, not the Hull C, it's telling me that it needs to be picked up from the cargo deck. You have to do that so that it gets picked up from the cargo deck, because if you don't do that, it will expecting you to pick it up from a freight elevator in a hangar, and doing that with 32 SCU hydrogen containers, there's a lot of them, as you're about to see. And back out on pad 2, which is near where we parked, and we'll just float over to it. We'll reverse a little and we'll extend our cargo spindles. There we go. Next we need to contact the cargo deck, and hopefully this will still work. There we go. Cargo deck historically has been on the left because it wants us to go up to the other side. There it is. We'll make our way to the big floaty square. We will slide into our big floaty square, and depending on the server health, sometimes this just works off the bat, but more often than not it doesn't. This one actually has worked off the bat. So you can see that it's commencing the cargo transfer. A lot of the times I've done this doesn't work, and you'll get in the box and it will say your vehicle needs to be stationary, even though you're sat stock still, and you can turn the engines off if you want. It doesn't do anything. The tip I found to make it work is you have to get out of your seat. So when you're inside the box, if you just hold Y, get out of the seat, and then it like sets your ship as an object in space and it's stationary, then it starts loading the cargo and you can just jump back in the seat and off you go again. And there we go, we're ready to go. And I would advise the next best thing you can do once you've done this is just to go up. If you press K, you will even get VTOL thrusters in the hull. You can see that there's a door opening just underneath the cockpit there, and it went vertically up. I'll show you again. We pan in and zoom. If I press K now, you'll see those doors underneath the cockpit shut. So the Hull C has vertical thrusters to help you if you need to do some more manoeuvring. Next, we need to go and sell this stuff. So, where do we want to go? We're at Terra, and you've got several choices here. Hydrogen will be bought by most of the stations in Stanton, so you can go to Port Tresla at Microtech, you can go to Bygenie Point above ArcCorp, you can go to... I can't remember the name of it. What's it called? Everest Harbour, that's the one. Oh my god, that was a brain fart. Everest Harbour, and you can go to the one above Crusader, again, I can't remember the name of because I'm having a brain fart. Seraphim Station. They all pay good money for hydrogen, and you can normally make about 250 to 300k a run. I normally go to Bygenie Point. I've just had a lot of luck there. I tend to use the UEX website. I think I'll link it in the description when I do this video. But normally I've had pretty good luck just going to Bygenie Point and selling the hydrogen there. And for whatever reason lately, Bygenie Point has been paying out like 350k. So you buy 500,000 credits worth and then you get back like 850. So you get 350k profit. And it's a nice, easy, quick run. Doesn't take too long, as you can see. And it's nice and relaxing. So we'll make our way to Bygenie Point when we're not obstructed by the space station. And we'll go and sell some hydrogen and make some money. You basically have to do the whole thing in reverse, but essentially. And now we have a big box, or should I say we have a great many boxes of hydrogen. Like I said, if you were doing this from a freight elevator and you buy 500,000 32 SCU containers of hydrogen, you can see how long this is going to take you. So don't make that mistake. There we go, here's an ArcCorp. Let's see if we can find Bygenie Point. If you've ever flown the Hull C, or you're new to flying the Hull C, god, that looks pretty, then you'll know that manoeuvring it when it's full of cargo is very, very slow. It's never quick. Ooh, are we going to be able to jump to it? Something tells me probably not. No, we're going to have to fly outwards of the atmosphere a bit first. And whilst we have a bit of a slow march towards Bygenie Point, I always fly up with the shields on, so I'm in SCM. So I'm not in nav mode or anything. It's slower, but it means that if someone does try to be stupid and have a go at you, then you aren't going to get, you know, shields maxed out straight away. You can get into an armistice zone and get to safety. So that's how I always do it. Let's try and find these pads. There's those ones. There they are, just on the outside of the ring. I can never remember where they are. And line ourselves up. And we do exactly the same thing, just in reverse this time. And back at the terminal, we select our second name again. And you see we have all the hydrogen to sell. 819k, so not quite 350, but still a nice tidy profit. Still what, 320k? I'll take it. And we just have to do the same thing, but in reverse. So we go back, once we've said we're going to sell it, we go back to our ship, and then we fly over to the cargo deck, and we let it unload. And we're back in our ship, as you can see. God, our cot looks so good. If it doesn't already show, I got a monitor upgrade, so I'm running this at 1440p now, and it's so much better. Anyway, we can call our cargo deck, as we did before. We need to end this call, whichever this one was. I think it was probably with Hab when it called me. There we go. So it took a minute, but now we have our cargo placement. I believe it's normally behind us somewhere. There it is. So once again, we just turn the ship and we go into the big blue box.
Cargo transferred.
You see this time we do have the little bug, so vehicle must be stationary to transfer. All we do is get out the seat. And there we go. You see, she's already pulling the cargo off. So, unfortunately, that is Star Citizen. We work with the workarounds. And there we go. We get out of the box so we don't get in trouble with the docking services. And we have roughly 320k more credits. Lovely. I shall see you all around IAE time. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you think I deserve it, please give the video a like and a sub if you fancy sticking around. If you want to try Star Citizen, you can use my referral code on screen when registering that gives us both in-game credits to help us both out as well. See you in the next one.